I don't know if people understand, at least in the context of Republican politics, how much the president provides some type of air cover, and it doesn't seem to work as much on the with the Democrats, but it certainly does with the Republicans. So okay, so let's say your story is correct, and frankly, it sounds the most sensical of any, because otherwise you're just left to believe that like Chuck Schumer never had a plan. Surely there must have been some notion, right? Because you mentioned earlier that they could have scuttled this in December. They didn't have to do the continuing resolution in December. The Democrats. This is before the tax bill, when there was a clock ticking for the Republicans. There's less so now. Also, when they hadn't gotten a win, so they were demoralized. And, anybody who follows sports knows the difference between a demoralized team and a non-demoralized team is basically a win. Same personalities. It's just that if they're losing, people start getting edgy with each other. The Democrats let them off the hook in December. And then comes to January, they don't seem to have a plan. What is the plan now? Like, what do you think Chuck Schumer is doing besides going on Rachel Maddow and pretending like he's got a plan?
Well, it sounds to me that, at least from what I gather, and I may have missed some of the details somewhere along the line, but they think that because they got, I think, what are they saying? They've got, 20 or 25 senators that all held the talking stick. Susan Collins brought her talking stick, and they all sat there and talked it all out. That some moderate Republican senators and the Democrats have decided that they're going to hold Mitch McConnell's feet to the fire, that he has promised, he didn't really promise, but he said it's his intention to bring a DACA bill to the floor that they can vote on, and if they get that, a clean bill, it will win. They can get over 60 votes on that, because there are actual Republicans in the it'll be mostly Democrats, but there are some Republicans in the Senate who will vote for it. And then they can do their continuing, they can do their budget, they can do all these other things, but they can get DACA off the table. That is supposedly what's going to happen. Now, going back to our previous discussion in the other segment, remember, then it's got to go back to the House. So what happens then? And that's, even let's just assume that Schumer can get this, that Mitch McConnell, is a man of his word, and they get that done before February 8th, which is the deadline. It still has to go back to the House. Now, what are they going to do with the Freedom Caucus? And Paul Ryan, by the way, has evoked the Hastert rule on this thing and promised his Republican Congress that he would not bring anything like that to the floor unless they had a majority of Republicans. And that's where the crazies is over there in the House, and they've got to go through that whole thing again, and I have no idea what their plan is there. I don't know get Donald Trump again? I mean I don't know.
It sounds to me like it dies in the House, and then the House just decides to pass its own bill that doesn't have DACA, and then we're back to where we are, right?
Well, that's what it sounds like. I mean, I don't know. What's the backup there? I don't get it.
This is why when we start to hear, and we see a whole host of stories. Why does the left always attack the people that are helping them as opposed to the people that are stopping them? But it sounds like at this point, right? I mean, because that sounds like the plan to me, what you just outlined. But it sounds like this plan is we're going to make it look like we did our job in the Senate. It's going to fail in the House. We'll blame that on the Republicans, and this will just be an election issue. And supposedly, there's some notion out there that, well, we're going to be watching all of these DACA recipients get deported, and this is going to create a fervor. The reality of it is, if you talk to, immigration lawyers, the reality of it is that things are so backed up that we're not going to have images of people being deported. We're just going to have stories and anecdotes of people not being able to work. people losing their jobs because they're contacted by ICE. Their bosses are contacted by ICE and told, like, look, hey, that person no longer has a legal status in this country. And we know where they work because they've all registered, and just you better not hire that person. So we're just going to have literally tens of thousands of people on a rolling basis lose their job, maybe lose their housing, and just have to wait maybe in an internment camp, essentially, that we've built to get deported. And this is really a disaster. It really is a disaster. And I think the Democrats, they missed their opportunity in December. They better come up with another plan. They don't have all the cards. They don't even have most of the cards. But the ones that they have, they've got to play a little bit better, it seems to me.